everyone, today they revealed the Bamboo Umbrella, which I actually already did a video on because we've known about their full kit, so go check that out if you want my thoughts on it. It was uploaded a few days ago. Instead, we're going to be talking about this again, because people's main concern about this weapon has shifted to, oh god, it might be too broken, guys. I think some people have said that this weapon is better than Stamper. So I think we need to take 2 seconds to talk about the weapon. And I'm going to be a little bit more critical about the things it's bad at, because I think people are a little bit too concerned that this is going to kill the game. Mostly because big hitbox is going to make it look really easy, I think. You know, I think people accept Stamper more because it is really hard. And this weapon does not look hard because, I mean, yeah, you look at it's got big hitbox. Big hitbox is horrible, right? So we'll talk about that, and I'll get to the big hitbox at the very end. So let's take a second to be a little more critical, and I'll try to get more thoughts on the weapon than I did yesterday. Alright, so first off, the Charge Slash. Now, the Charge Slash is good. I didn't want to critique this too much, because I didn't want people getting the wrong idea about it. It's a pretty neat concept. But the distance the Dash Slash goes does have a downside. You cannot really use this in a team fight if people are clumped up around each other, because, you know, like a mini Reef Slider, you're going to end up very close to the other team, even if you get a kill, which means other people can just turn around and shoot you. Now, this is not a slider, it does not have that same amount of end lag, etc. Like, this still has limited utility. You can't just dash into a team of people and melt them instantly. You're gonna kill one guy, and then the other people are going to shoot back at you, and you're gonna just get traded out, which, like, oftentimes is not going to be worth it. So, you know, I think this is great in one-go-in settings. I think that there is actually the best use case for it, that example, where you dash slash someone, but there's cover near you that's going to block you from the rest of the team that's pre-firing you. I think that's where you're going to use it. I don't think it's going to be that broken. Outside of that, the lack of range and ledge trapping is the biggest part of this weapon. First off, let's talk about range. If I'm being generous, from a generous assessment, this looks like it has about the range of a 96 gal. And, like, honestly, it's probably less. That is not a lot. Splatoon Wiper's Charge Slash outranges custom Dually Squelcher. Like, outranges it. And you can do that under a ledge. This weapon cannot shoot under a ledge. Like, I know you can, you know, you can sit under and shoot up top. What I mean is you can't have your beam travel across the floor while you're under the ledge shooting it. There is no way to do that. You do not have a vertical. So this weapon has to be standing somewhere where any other line of sight weapon can stare back at it, and it's going to be outranged or have similar range to a ton of other mid-range weapons. And I've already talked about how you can't just dash slash into the other team. You know, we already talked about that. So what are your options? You have to you can charge slash, try to, like, combo people a little bit with a 2-shot, which is, you know, not bad kill time-wise, or you can triple horizontal. That's your options. Those are not great kill times. Like, Stamper will occasionally triple horizontal people, but it's not the majority of the kills you're going to see from it. Imagine if you had to do that way more often, and that's what this weapon has to do, except you also have less range. You do have a bit of a bigger hitbox, though. The hitbox is so crazy. So, you know, that's what I think you have here, and that's not even talking about the ink efficiency. From what I've looked at this trailer, and from what I've heard from other people, this weapon has worse ink efficiency on both slashes than Stamper does. So this weapon is going to be running out of ink a lot, especially because you're going to be killing slower than Stamper, so you're going to be having to shoot more to get a kill. So I think it is going to be a weapon that is going to struggle more at actually getting kills. To me, this is not as great as Slayer, which brings me as to why it has a big hitbox. Because I think this weapon is supposed to deal reliable damage, but I don't think it's going to be that great at killing on its own. I'm not even trying to say it's going to be bad at it, particularly if you fight short-range comps. I think it's going to be great at killing against short-range comps. But I think if you're fighting the actual good weapons in the video game, all the mid-lines, like, this thing doesn't really seem that exceptional at killing to me. It seems good at dealing damage, but not really at getting picks. Like, it's not going to kill, like, a range, or a slosher, or squeezer, or even either of the other swords, for that matter. So, like, what is this weapon to me? I think the bigger hitbox is here for 2 reasons. Actually, 3 reasons. One, I think it's accessibility. Like, for those who don't know, Splatoon Stamper was the first Stamper they put in the game. Wiper was made second, right? That's part of why if you go to Alterna, you'll notice there's Tri-Stringer, but no Reflux, the bow that was made second. But there's also no Wiper, there's only a Stamper. You know, the Splatoon that was made first is there. And, like, the thing is, Splatoon Stamper's win rate in stuff like the Random Weapon Sampler Challenge is really low. Stamper is a really, really hard weapon for people to get into who are low skill rating. And Wiper is better at that problem, but I believe even Wiper isn't the most accessible Splatoon to play. It is pretty clear to me that with a further dash slash and a bigger hitbox and a simpler toolkit with horizontal slashes, this is the more accessible Splatoon of the 3 by like a lot, which is fine, you know? I have a problem when accessible weapons become brain dead at top level play, but that very rarely happens. The main example is Junior, and Junior in this game doesn't really play anywhere near the level it had to do in previous games. Right? I think people worry a lot because big hitbox, but usually I want you guys to understand, if a weapon has a big hitbox, it is usually for a reason. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean it needs justification or that it might not need tweaks, but I'm saying if something comes attached with a big hitbox and it's new, you should immediately ask yourself, what am I losing in order for the hitbox? And in this case, it's ink efficiency, it's the ability to peek under ledges, it's kill time. It's a lot of actual very valid downsides. But this is where I think this weapon gets a bit of a different playstyle, because Wiper and Stamper are very kill-orientated in their own different ways. This weapon, I think, is different. I think this weapon's large hitbox is also there to give it better paint. That is the other reason I think it's here. I think that the wider paint trail is going to mean you can actually use this weapon supportively to play around your kits that are clearly very team-oriented, and now you have a Splatoon that plays a little differently. Like, you can go for damage, you can go for 1v1 kills, but you also can kind of paint around and chip damage for people. You know, your horizontals can be very effective at taking turf control, and then while you're doing that, you can also try to get decent damage on people, and you play around 2 kits that actually work supportively, you know? I would almost compare it to Dread. Like, Dread versus Slosher is kind of how I look at this weapon. Like, it's not going to kill anywhere as well as the normal one, but you're going to have a lot more paint, team support, and hitbox size to play around. The difference between this thing and Dreadringer is this weapon actually has the kits to be worth playing around. And I think the main weapon is just a little bit better as well. So that's what makes me really excited for this. I think it is going to be a unique hybrid between playing a bit more supportively and playing to kits that we've needed, and that's really important when it's also your inkjet option, and we don't really have one of those right now. So I'm really, really excited to see what we can do with this weapon and see how it's going to slot into comps. I think it even has potential to replace the short-range gun on the team. And, like, that would still have fair trade-offs with Splattershot, because Splattershot has a bazooka, and this doesn't, and it also doesn't have a lethal bomb. But that's what I mean. It's really interesting for how it can open up team comps. That's something I liked about Dread, and when I talked about it before it got a second kit for a while, is what it could mean for the game. And, like, that's what I think for this weapon, because we know it has the kits. I think there's a lot that can happen between new team comps and playstyles and just abilities to run different specials with it. It's cool. And I'm really excited for what this is going to open up. And yeah, does it look strong? Absolutely. I still think this is, like, probably a top tier weapon. Maybe top of high tier at absolute worst. I think the kits are like a tier apart. I think they're both very, very good. You know, my opinion of this being critical is not to say that I think these are bad, because I still think they're very good. My point of this video is that I think there are more downsides that people aren't really realizing. Mainly the range. The range is really the big trade-off for this weapon that I want people to realize compared to the other Splatonas. So, you know, how easy will it be? How good will it be? That's all questions we have to see later. But I think, to me, it's clear that the weapon has plenty of trade-offs. They did not just put in Stamper but easy mode into the game. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts below.